Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, if you've ever found yourself in a situation where maybe you book a new client, and this client isn't really in your niche, maybe you're not really used to working with this specific problem. So, it's like, what are you going to do? And maybe you found yourself going into Facebook groups saying, hey, who's worked with this before? How did you do it? Right? And then they maybe provide a series of techniques and suggestions about those things. Like, here's the protocol I used. Here's how I arranged our existing protocol, and this was effective. And maybe they even point you to some trainings out there on the market that you can do that are a little more specialized in that way. If you've been in that situation, I think you're gonna like this video. So I remember when I was at Hypnothoughts Live, and I was going to all the different classes there. It was a fascinating conference. It's absolutely brilliant. I recommend going there. You have to check it out. And it was so great because, again, the variation out there and the variety really helped me in a weird way get my feet wet, I guess, to the industry, because you get to talk to people that some folks believe completely different things about what we do. It's really interesting like that, and they will all just kind of chat it out and agree to disagree, and it's wonderful. Anyway, so I'm at that conference, and at the time I remember being really blown away. Like, wow, there's so many different ways to do this, And then after I got some experience on my belt, I remember looking back and realizing that it's not so much that people are doing things in radically different ways. Like if you were an alien, I know I've used this metaphor before, but and maybe you're an alien and you're flying around Hypnothoughts in your little flying saucer, and maybe you can view all the different classrooms and you're observing what's going on. I don't know that you would describe it as, hey, look at how tremendously different all these folks are in terms of how they do hypnosis with one another. It's probably more along the lines of, okay, hey, folks are all kind of doing the same thing but with minor variation. And so to some extent, I think this should put your mind at ease. I think taking new trainings is fantastic. But if you're doing it out of a state of desperation, that's a little tougher. Doing it from the standpoint of like, hey, I want to add this tool, or I'm just fascinated by that, or something along those lines. That's a different way to approach it than like, I haven't figured out how I need to like take a training for every type of problem out there on the market. That's tough. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with just learning. It's really cool. But you can always get a golden nugget here or there for sure that can help improve your results. The reason I'm highlighting all this though is, my training is actually different. It's not so much how to do hypnosis. It's almost like it's how to do the how, right? The hypnosis out there is great. There's a bunch of people very skilled at creating this state, this trance, whatever, however you want to refer to it. I want to open up that can of worms. But in terms of how to do the how, right? So when we're doing like ABSs, like advanced breakthrough strategies, what we're not doing is coming to that session with a preconceived notion or a plan. There's no prep work. Ultimately because that client's in front of us, and for lack of a better word, they don't know what their real problem is. It's just the presenting problem. So to the extent all we know is the presenting problem, how could we ever really prepare for that? You could arm yourself with some information, and you could have a bunch of techniques. Those may or may not work. That's a lot of time you're spending doing that, a lot of stress on you, a lot of pressure. And what I teach hypnotists to do is quite different. We just explore and discover the nature of that problem with the client. And as we do so, if that problem's in the unconscious mind, they kind of got to go inward. So they're already heading in the right direction, right? Because they got to retrieve information about it as we explore. And this is beautiful because it creates all this opportunity for us just to catch trance. And then I show the folks what to do with all that and how to create a space so that client's unconscious mind can generate whatever resources it needs to resolve that problem for that person. And so this is just a faster way to work, and it's really dynamic, and you're not really stuck to a protocol or a technique, right? In some sense, those are all kind of scripted in a way, right? Because it's like, even if you're not reading a script at a person, if it's the same technique and protocol you do every single time for every single person, in a sense, there's a scripted nature to that. And again, I'm not here to tell anybody how to work. It's just if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're running into problems with clients more often than what you'd like, or maybe if you're in that 4, 6, 8 session range and you'd like to work quicker, here's kind of what my training's all about, right? It's not how to do hypnosis, it's how to do the how, right? We're focused in that. How do we arm you with the skills to be able to work with anybody like that? And the other thing here is we're no longer having to ignore the individual in front of us. We actually get to embrace the individual in front of us. It's about what makes that person tick, right? What do they need to solve this problem? You think about their behavior, understand their personality, and you start to pick up on themes. There's a whole lot of stuff we can go into. I won't be able to do it justice here. But I hope that kind of clarifies a little bit about what's going on here. So if that's something you're interested in, take a look at my 2-day training coming up. Websites posted everywhere. If you have any questions, though, reach out to me. Shoot me a DM. I'd love to chat with you sometime. Take care, everybody.